Coming up on My Week, how this historic presidential election could affect how we vote and why. Plus, should any topic be off the table for the next Trump-Clinton debate? Also coming up, the congressional races in Michigan getting national attention. We have headlines too. Nolan and Stephen are here, and My Week starts right now.
Did you know Gordon Food Service was started by a 23-year-old entrepreneur as a butter and egg delivery business more than a century ago? In 1948, school teacher Gerard Wendell Hayworth borrowed $10,000 from his parents to start a woodworking operation in his family's garage. It's now Hayworth Incorporated. These are just some of the ways Michigan's pioneers started out as small companies with big ideas.
We are business leaders for Michigan. We are committed to making Michigan a top 10 state for jobs, personal income, and a healthy economy. Funding is also provided by Delta.
Hi there and welcome to My Week. I'm Christy McDonald. We are so glad that you are with us. You know, you can't go anywhere without seeing or hearing something about the presidential election. Television, newspapers, social media, your family dinner table, you name it. The VP candidates debated this week. Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton debate again on Sunday. And if people are more informed than ever about this election, will that automatically translate into voter turnout? Could the polarizing nature of the campaigns keep more people at home? We have a lot to talk about tonight, including the focus on Michigan congressional races and the big money being spent on one race in Macomb County. So let's bring in our My Week contributors, two men who interrupt each other more than Tim Kaine and Mike Pence, Nolan Finley of the Detroit News and Stephen Henderson of the Detroit Free Press. Hey guys, you're not going to interrupt each other today, are you?
Of course not. Yes.
You're not going to make me go Elaine Kahano on all you people and say, no one can hear you at home if you're talking over one another.
That was the best line of the night.
I thought she did a good job of that.
I did too.
Like, instead of letting them spin out of control early, she took control of it and said, cut it out.
A lot of people said that she did not take control of it, or that she stifled debate. What do you think?
A lot of people have never moderated a debate, and the last thing you want to do is to be constantly scolding. And, you know, the best thing would be to have a mic cut off so you can cut off people's mics when they get out of control. She didn't have that. And, you know, she was in a horrible situation. You had a guy who showed up, and Tim Kaine, clearly determined to talk through the whole thing. Pence jumped in there and started following him. And, you know, they were having a fairly substantive debate when you could hear them. When they
could go back and forth. But it was kind of like these side snarking comments back and forth. I think it was a no-win situation for the moderator. I really do.
Agree.
You could not pay me $1 million to moderate any of these debates.
No. If they came and they said to you, Stephen Henderson, we want you to moderate the vice presidential debate.
Oh, he'd
yes, you would.
No,
yes, you would.
Not with these candidates. The vice presidential debate, I think you'd think a little harder about that one. But I wouldn't do a Trump-Clinton debate for anything. I mean, there's no win. There's no win for the moderator.
No, that's true.
In those situations, you know, Nolan and I can tell awful stories about moderating debates here in Detroit or statewide that people want to take it out on the moderator all the time, no matter what happens.
We moderated one in the mayor's race last time, and there were like 11 candidates.
It was in the primary, right?
Yeah, in the primary. 11 candidates up here. We're sitting in front of the candidates, and the audience was behind us, and they started heckling. You know,
well, that's probably. Did you give them the directions beforehand that they could only clap at the beginning and only clap at the end?
We absolutely gave them firm directions, but they're behind us, and you know you can almost feel them moving toward us. And they first go after the candidates, and then Steve scolded them, and they start on us.
You can't yell at the crowd. So if they come and ask you, you would never consider that. I think though, as a journalist, so that would be one of the highest and the hardest jobs to do, and the biggest challenge to be able to do. You turn it down.
There's no way to win when you have a candidate who is determined to undermine the process in such a way that it's going to be a joke. So there's not a way to control Donald Trump and what he's doing in these debates if you're the moderator. So you lose one way or another.
That's true. But on the other hand, you know, poor Lester Holt had the Clinton campaign on his back for the whole week, you know, setting their expectations, and they did the same thing to Matt Lauer and just trashed him for asking tough questions. So, I mean, you can really I mean, there's no win here. I mean, both sides.
But Hillary Clinton is participating in
the debate.
In a debate the way she's supposed to participate in the debate.
It's the pre-debate pressure.
But that's
well,
all.
I think
Nothing
so.
like
but
this.
I think it's interesting now because we're looking at a debate on Sunday, which is going to be a town hall format, and then you get questions from the audience, and you have two moderators from two different networks, which I think that you're just throwing two more big egos in the room. In that situation, is there anything that is off limits? We've heard a lot talking about, what could Trump possibly pull out that would be obnoxious. Should there be anything off limit in this debate, or can candidates really attack each other in a town hall format?
Well, fair. Well, I don't know. Town hall makes it a little tougher, but fair is fair, and you can't say that. Trump has done and said things that's pretty despicable in regards to women, and Hillary Clinton, ran the litany of that in the last debate, and he just sort of, got caught in the headlights. She's vulnerable in that area too, and there's a way to do it. I mean, he said after the debate, I didn't bring this up because, I didn't want to hurt anybody's feelings, which was just crap. When did Donald Trump not want to hurt anybody's feelings? He just didn't think on his feet quick enough. But when she started, dealing with his sexism, he could have easily come back and said, without getting into the messy details and without making it titillating, he could have easily said, Hillary Clinton is an opportunistic feminism who will destroy women and have when it meets her political ambitions.
I think that's a rough road to go down. Really rough road to go down.
I think if you're Hillary Clinton, you will want him to go down that road. So he's gonna criticize her for taking after women who went after her husband. I mean, who's that going to play with?
Women her husband victimized. These weren't false accusers.
Well, some of them were, and if you think
many
that
of
those,
them weren't,
if you think that those, so the idea of sympathy for the other women, that's his plan here, to have so.
But why are we talking about Bill Clinton? It's her candidacy. It's her. She's the one who's running for the job.
Role in
what role
attacking,
did she have?
and she ran the war room in the Monica Lewinsky, and just destroyed that woman, and she's destroyed other women.
Who will be sympathetic
destroyed
to that?
other women.
And who will be sympathetic to that? You
Any
think women
woman,
will?
I mean,
really?
If she's been in a situation where she stood up for women who were victimized by sexual harassment, victimized at work,
aren't victims.
her husband did the same thing.
You think he victimized those women? You think he victimized those women?
A lot of the women claim he raped her, Steve. Raped them. And in any other situation, the accuser would get the benefit of the doubt, except in this case.
That's not true. That's not true at all. I mean,
I
would love for Donald Trump.
Look at what's going on our campuses.
I would love for Donald Trump to go down that road. I think Clintons would love for him to do it.
I think there's a way for him to go down.
He will get leveled.
There's a way for him to go down.
And I'm here to tell you that he's not going to. If there is a way, and I think we could debate that all day long, he's not going to take the right way if there is a right way. Well, let me ask you this. I want to talk about this because someone brought this up to me this week and said, everybody's talking about the election. It's all that anyone can talk about. Everyone knows Trump and Clinton. So I bet so many people are going to vote because everybody knows something about the election. And I disagreed with that because I think it's so polarizing. I'm not quite sure it's gonna translate into votes. What do you guys think about that?
I mean, I think the turnout will be, it's not going to be super low, but it won't be. I mean, we've had record turnout the last two presidential elections, and that was about the candidate that you had on the Democratic side. I mean, Barack Obama's charisma alone, I think, drove lots and lots of people to the polls. His connection with young people, the way he excited young people, got more of them out than you saw before. There's no one in this race on either side who I think has that same pull. And so you won't see, I think, those kind of numbers this time. But I don't think we're going to see a depressed number in the election. It'll just be lower than it has been the last two cycles.
I think in places like Michigan it could be very light. And you're right. People come out to vote for someone.
Yes.
And in that election, they came out to vote for someone. Yeah. If you wake up on Tuesday morning, you're feeling a little cranky, or it's raining outside, you're not as motivated to go out and vote against someone. And you still have over half the electorate saying they're voting against the other candidate. Yeah. And in a place like Michigan, where there's really nothing else on the ballot that's getting any real attention, it might depress turnout.
Steve and I were actually at an event earlier today, and someone said, where are the undecided? Who are these undecideds at this point in the race? We've got 30 X amount of days left.
These are people who just want attention at this point. They aren't really undecided. It's that the only people that get talked about at this point, the only people who you're interviewing are people who say they are undecided. They are the sort of sexy voter at this point.
Sexy voter.
This is the hardest election for people to make a decision in, precisely because you have so much dislike of the two candidates. So you hear from people all the time who say, I don't like him, I don't like her, I'm not really sure yet what I'm going to do. I may skip the presidential election. And that counts as an undecided vote.
Those are ignorant voters.
That's not ignorant at all.
Those
are people. Those are voters of conscience. They look at these two candidates and say, I can't give my vote to either one.
If you can look at these two candidates and see similarities between them and see her as the same as him,
they're unacceptable in different ways. And I will contend a president who believes she's above the law is as dangerous as any other kind of president.
My concern is that this is going to be the most polarizing election that we've had, and after Election Day, there's going to be such apathy in the country on either side. There's going to be such hurt, angry feelings on either side.
I don't feel like there'll be apathy.
No, anger.
I feel like there's going to be anger that doesn't dissipate the way it normally does after an election, when people say, all right, well, we got another 4 years or whatever to regroup. Number one, you're going to have a Republican Party that, win or lose, Donald Trump is going to be in incredible turmoil because of his presence and what he's done to the party internally. They have a leadership problem. They have a problem with they could get wiped out.
I think Mike Pence was auditioning for something in the next 4 years.
Well, that was a pretty poor audition, I thought.
Oh, he did a great job, Steve. Come on.
I wouldn't vote for him for local dog catcher. I mean,
you wouldn't vote for any Republicans.
That's not true. I voted for Republicans before when they were better candidates.
Yeah, we sure do. We want a selfie of your ballot.
We want your record. Go ahead, finish your point.
Yeah, I mean, I just think there's going to be this rancor over all of the things that are dividing the country in the election. They will sort of supersede the election after November and continue for some time. And I don't know how they sort themselves out, or whether they sort themselves out even by the next presidential election in 4 years.
I think it's going to be the most divisive period we've ever gone through. And Hillary Clinton is not Barack Obama. If you look after the elections, I mean, the hardcore Obama haters never came around, but over half of the nation
started 2 months after the election.
Actually, Tea Party started when they forced Obamacare down our throats.
But even before they started that.
It started over Obamacare.
Is not true.
But I mean, he was able to get his approval ratings. He was a fairly liked president, even for the people who disagreed with him.
52%.
She'll never hit those numbers.
I want to ask really quick before we leave election talk, what's it been like this last week after your paper endorsed Gary Johnson? What's been the fallout from that? For you?
A lot of our longtime readers are very disappointed. They felt we should have gone with Trump. A lot of Democrats are like Steve, who think, God, how could anybody not vote for Clinton? They must be ignorant. So you hear a lot of that. It's typical of what you're hearing in the general debate.
It's typical of what you're seeing on your Facebook feed, and I think I'm just going to have to delete my Facebook account once the election is over.
Everybody should.
Wait till we come out with our Trump endorsement. That's what's going to really set
Well, hang on. You heard it here first, folks. I'm gonna write that one down.
You should just go ahead and do it.
All right.
I'm writing it right now.
You can hang it on the wall next to your Snyder endorsement.
That's right. It'll be in the same category.
That hurt. He still gets garbage for that, I think. All right. Well, let's take a look now at the congressional races in Michigan that are getting some national attention, especially up north in the 1st Congressional District. The race is being called a toss-up there between Republican Jack Bergman and Democrat Lon Johnson. And even though we may not live in the UP in the northern third of the Lower Peninsula, whoever wins here could tip the balance of power in Washington. That was a great line, by the way. So, Stephen, I'm going to start with you. What's going on up north?
I actually don't know. I had said all year that I was going to go up north this fall.
Well, you don't really travel out of Detroit usually,
I don't go north of 6 Mile generally, but I was going to go and sort of see what was going on with the campaign because I thought it would.
I got a camo jacket.
Intense, right? That's why you got to dress differently up north. I think it is a tougher race for the Republicans this time because of these questions about whether Jack Bergman is sort of a carpetbagger or not. But I think that charge or that question can be sent Lon Johnson's way equally. I don't know what's going to happen in that district. I think it really does depend on how badly Trump gets beaten. in Michigan, and now that you still have straight party voting available to people, that could make the difference here, I think.
And you have some high-powered people from Washington who are really eyeballing up north as well, and kind of lending a little.
Well, Johnson's married to one of Trump's top fundraisers, or Obama's top fundraisers.
Wow.
So they're getting a lot of out-of-town money in. Neither one of these guys has very deep roots in this district. Neither one of them really.
Johnson was born there. That is true.
And as was Bergman, was born in the UP.
I see it
but that's it. I mean, and so the whole carpetbagger thing has been an issue, and also, trying to touch the values of the district. I saw a commercial with Lon Johnson. If you know him, you understand how out of context this is. He's sitting on the bed of a pickup truck with a blaze orange jacket on and a shotgun on his lap, and he's saying, "I will defend your gun rights against Democrats when I get to watch it." It's the most hilarious commercial. But this past week they made a big deal over the fact that Bergman's never had a hunting license in Michigan, which is, I guess,
this could be fighting words.
but he has had a fishing license, was his retort.
Let me ask you this though, just in terms of the balance of power that Democrats could be looking to maybe see if they could gain some a little bit in the House. I mean, this could be.
I don't know. This race matters in that way. I don't know that because of the way the House is so badly gerrymandered in most states, I don't know that there's much opportunity for them to make up ground there. The real question is the Senate, which I think they stand a good chance to recapture, and that's gonna matter a lot if you have a Clinton presidency. Supreme Court appointments, other kinds of confirmations will go much easier.
And I agree. That's a more likely outcome. I think the lead in the House is safe. I think they'll lose seats. I mean, they usually do in a presidential year, and then they'll gain them back next time. But the first is interesting. I think in the 10th. Paul Mitchell's pretty safe there. That's going to be a big Trump turnout there. The race I'm interested is the 7th with Tim Walberg and Gretchen Driscoll. Made a big issue out of trade.
They are running a ton of advertising. But
so that district went Democratic in 2008.
Yes.
Because of the heavy Barack Obama turnout, and then in 2010, when there was the backlash against them, they lost again. They haven't been able to recapture it again. I don't know that there's enough Democrats in that district to put Tim Walberg out. I just I feel like
that's a turnout election.
It's totally a turnout.
And I can't. It is. The parts of it are huge. Trump strongholds, but it also comes in almost to Ann Arbor, where Clinton has a lot of support. The other one is the Mike Bishop race. She's running, this Susanna Schrickle is running a lot of ads and working that race hard. Paul Ryan was in this last week on behalf of both Bergman and Bishop, but Bishop's getting a little more competition than you would expect for an incumbent.
And I think Nolan, you said huge, and then you said Trump, and like 3 words later, and I was like, that's pretty good. All right, hey, let's go a little hyper-local now and check out some of the other races that we're watching. The race for Macomb County Public Works Commissioner between Congresswoman Candace Miller and incumbent Anthony Morocco, and we'll take a look at Elbrooks Patterson defending his county executive seat in Oakland County. But let's go ahead and take a look at what's going on in Macomb County. Talk about spending money out there, and it is a bit of a grudge match out there as well.
Well, I mean, what's interesting is the way that things have aligned in that county. So you've got Mark Hackle, who is a Democrat, who's come out and endorsed
backing Miller,
Candace Miller, and big, and he says that the reason is that this the person who has the job now is really, everyone comes right up to the line of calling him a crook, right? And that seems to be what they're trying to say. But of course, he's not been charged with anything or investigated, to my knowledge. They're concerned about the way he runs the office, though, and the relationship between him and people who do work for that branch of government. I think that's why Candace Miller is so interested in running. I think she wins. I mean, I think it'd be real. I think it's hard to beat her in that part of the world.
Yeah, I think you're right. But the money they're spending on that little race, I saw, and how nasty is, I saw a Morocco ad the other day where, you know, he's got the Koch brothers polluting Lake St. Clair because of Candace Miller. I'm like, how did the poor little Koch brothers get into
Oh, I don't think anyone would describe them as the poor little Koch brothers,
you know,
Nolan.
And it's interesting to me that Hackle feels so strongly about this race that he basically threw away any chance he has of getting the Democratic nomination for governor this year or ever by going in so big against an established Democratic politician.
Yeah.
Oh, that's an interesting one. All right, so let's take a look in Oakland County. Brooks Patterson, of course, running again. And is he really facing any stiff competition in Vicki Barnett, do you think, Nolan?
Well, I think so, only because she is aggressively campaigning, which he hasn't faced in a long time. She's papering the district with flyers, direct mail, and you know she's trying to say, you know, this is our version of Donald Trump. That's a county that's the demographics have changed drastically over the last decade, and you know races have been a little closer for Brooks than they should have been.
Yeah, but he could also argue and just say, look at the success that Oakland County has had right now.
Well, you look at the success, but also look at the sort of fraying that we're seeing of that success as the county changes. The county is aging in a way that's changing demographics and causing some decay in some places. You don't have young people moving into the county in large numbers the way that you might want to or imagine that they would. And so, I mean, what Vicki is saying is Oakland needs a rethink and needs a reboot to build on the success that Brooks, no question.
Yeah, but she's not going to build on that success. I mean, the Oakland County's successful still, and I don't know where you're seeing the fraying. Their budget, their finances are
Look
the
at places like
strongest,
Pontiac. Look at
strongest
places
in the
like
state.
Royal Oak Township.
Nobody's going to help Pontiac, but you still have those South Oakland communities as real.
But you say
real hot
no
spots.
one's going to help Pontiac. It's the largest city in the county.
And it'll struggle under Brooks. It'll struggle under whoever takes over.
That's the kind of attitude that I think people are tired of.
You've got to have some good local government as well. But Oakland County still, southern Oakland, those communities, Berkeley, Royal Oak, Ferndale, still drawing young people. They're still hopping.
It's not growing.
And sure, they're growing.
It's not growing the way it was.
Well, I mean, it's getting saturated, but that's still those are very vibrant communities. And he's got the reason for his success, he's got a fabulous team in place that continues to make it the best run county in Michigan.
All right, we're going to be watching that. And finally tonight, some headlines. All right, so I asked these guys to bring in some stories that piqued their interest, and I'm going to share mine straight off the top. What's up with all the creepy clowns around the country, people dressing up like clowns and appearing in weird places and scaring people to the point where there's been like school shutdowns. I got a note from our school district that's a kid dressed up as a clown and like try to terrorize people in a neighborhood right by a school. Seriously, don't let your kids dress up as clowns.
Some colleges
are not funny.
Banning clown costumes for.
Well, I think in general that's probably a good idea no matter what.
That really limits your options.
No, it doesn't.
You can't dress up as at one the college you put out. You can't dress up as a clown or a terrorist. I mean, they got both ends of the extreme cover.
There you go. That was my headlines. Please, no clowns. What about you, Stephen? Real quick.
The Pistons may be moving back to Detroit, which I am really excited about because it's really close to where I live. I could walk.
Again, from the aforementioned, you don't like to go anywhere that's like 5 minutes away from where you have to drive.
Chorus said they're building a practice facility.
They want to build a practice facility in this.
Their advertising is all Detroit-centric. If you
it really
look at the billboards, you look at the commercials.
The commercials have Dave Bing talking about it being synonymous with Detroit.
He does the voiceover, right?
Yeah,
I
like
cool
it.
commercials.
Yeah. What about you, Nolan?
Well, I mean, off that same thing, Chris Illich said last week, 52 new developments in the works, $2 billion around that district area where the new hockey arena is. You think about what that place is going to look like in 10 years, and we won't recognize it. This is probably the most transformational project we've ever seen in Detroit.
I mean, they're literally building a
so
neighborhood,
quickly.
which I don't know that I've seen anyone else do anywhere else, and so it's going to be really interesting to see what effect that actually has. Does that work, and does it affect other parts of the city that are nearby by lifting them up? So
Yeah, we'll see. All right, sounds good. Thanks, guys. I really appreciate it. It's always good to see you. And that is going to do it for my week. Thanks so much for joining us. We want to let you know about a big event that's happening downtown next week, celebrating the best of Detroit music, all the while supporting Detroit Public Television. It's called Detroit Performs Live. It's at the Fillmore next Friday night, October 14th. You'll see performances from Laith Al-Sadi, a finalist from The Voice, Thornetta Davis, she's awesome, the Selected of God Choir, the Motor City Horns, Devin Skillion, and the Contours. I get to host this whole thing. You will be there with us at the Fillmore. Just go to dptv.org for ticket information at every level. It celebrates the best of Detroit and Detroit Public Television. We hope to see you there. And we will see you next time for My Week. For all of us at Detroit Public TV, thanks so much for watching. Take care. We'll see you.
Did you know Roush Enterprises was selected by Google to assemble a test fleet of 100 prototype self-driving cars in 2015? It also produced the new Domino's delivery cars. And speaking of Domino's, Domino's sells well over 2 million pizzas per day around the world, and half of their sales are digital. These are just some of the ways Michigan's pioneers started out as small companies with big ideas.
We are business leaders for Michigan. We are committed to making Michigan a top 10 state for jobs, personal income, and a healthy economy. Funding is also provided by Delta.